Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. And today I want to talk to you about the unreality of your past. And I want to show you how to move forward from your past and co-create with God. You know, many times people are living in the past. They're talking about things that happened in the past. These are things that already happened, but they're reliving them, even getting themselves in the same emotions of sadness or anger or whatever it may be, basically causing themselves to relive something they didn't want to happen in the first place by dredging up the past. But this happens more often than you would think. Just think if you're going throughout your day and you get into work and somebody asks you, well, how was traffic? And you start telling them about the past. Well, you know, I was waiting for a long time and it sure is awful out there. When are they going to ever get that construction done and all this stuff? And now you're going back in that moment. You're now vibrating in that negative mentality, that negative vibration. And you're starting your day off worse than if you had just been going through the traffic, went to work, and blessed God and didn't go around whining and complaining. Even when prompted, you don't have to just tell people what they want to hear as far as some negative complaining response. That way they can feel, now I can share my complaint, my whining about the morning, my whining about the work week. Because here's the thing, most of those people don't really care what you're going to be complaining about anyway. That is just their opening to interject their complaint. Well, he's complaining, so now I can complain. That's really all they're trying to signal to you. So you don't have to start it off with a complaint. You can say something positive and not go live in the past. You could just say something like, oh, I got here perfectly safe and sound. Sure is a glorious morning. That's all you got to do. If they don't like it, then they'll stop bothering you with their negativity and they're trying to get you to go back to those things. But it's way beyond little trivialities like that. But many of those trivialities throughout the day makes a whole entire day that has been negative, depressing, angering, saddening, whatever it may be, whatever negative vibration that you may be operating in. That's what that does. You keep going back to bad things. It could be, oh, today was the day that some relative passed away and now you're feeling sad about why? You're allowing the past to rule, and not just rule, but ruin the future and ruin the present. And it does you no good. Now, what you need to think about as far as your past is everything. Listen to this. Everything, all things that have happened to you in the past, they only exist now as electrical impulses in your brain. That's all. They don't exist anymore. They're simply memories stored away that you don't have to go back to, that you can leave where they are, let the dust collect, so to speak, and only live in the good vibration, the positive, good things of good report, things that are just, things that are lovely, things that are virtuous. You can think of those praiseworthy things only and cast off the past. It's interesting, in Revelation 12:10, the devil is called the accuser of our brethren. Now, what accusation could be made? It's not about the future. It's not about even the present. What would it be? It'd be about the past, dredging up the past. So stop listening to accusations. Even if they're coming in your own mind, get rid of them. Forget those things that are behind. As Paul said in Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 to 14, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. I'm going to tell you quite frankly, you're not pressing toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus when you're going back to the past, when you're wallowing in the past, when you're whining about the past, even if the past was a few minutes ago. You have to rid yourself of that crutch. Sometimes people do it because they don't have anything to talk about. Now here's something that might be a revelation to many people. You do not have to talk. You can be gracious and kind, and you don't have to go into long diatribes and babble about your past and whine and complain about this person did this in the past and this person did that, and that thing in the past that happened 20 years ago is still hurting me today, and all these things. The reason it's hurting you today is because you refuse to forget those things which are behind. You refuse to get rid of those things that don't even exist anymore except as memories, as electrical impulses in your brain. That's it. They're not happening to you now except when you bring them back up and you cause that reaction to happen to you again. But that's a choice you're making. So if you have some event that happened to you 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 2 minutes ago, and you're wallowing around whining about it and complaining about it and being hurt by it to this day, that's a choice you have made. It's not that past event that is hurting you. It's you choosing to hurt yourself by reveling in the past. Many people love to regale people about tales of all the suffering they went through, as if being a victim is something virtuous. It's not. Especially when the victimhood that you're talking about is self-created. Because you're only feeling bad, you're only getting miserable, you're only getting sad or depressed or angry or whatever, because you're choosing freely to think about things you shouldn't be thinking about in the first place. To go back to old events that don't even exist because your past is unreal. It happened, and now it's not happening. And if you choose to go back to it and dredge it up and relive it, that is by choice, by design. You are choosing to relive that. And by the law of attraction, you are choosing to attract more of that. So more of the things that cause you to feel that way, you are dragging into your life. And you don't have to do that. Some people think sowing and reaping is only for good things. Law of attraction is only for good things. No, it is for everything. Gravity is not just for good things like flying in the air. You walk off a building, you're going to go flying down to the ground and splat. These are universal laws that you are choosing to enact against yourself. And the thing is that it's a program that many people have running in their subconscious mind. Actually, the vast majority of people, because how many people actually deal with any of this stuff? They don't. They think dealing with the past is talking about it. Well, I'm venting. No, you're not. You're complaining. You're murmuring. You're whining. And you're reliving something. You're not doing anything good, anything productive, anything valuable. You're just hurting yourself, and you're attracting more of those things that will hurt you in that same way. The vibration, the sowing and reaping, when you sow a seed in the ground, you sow an apple seed, you don't get a harvest of apple seeds, you get a full apple tree and then apples. In the same way it is with when you're sowing these negative vibrations, this negative mentality, this complaining and feeling down and depressed and angry or whatever about the past, you are attracting more of those negative and depressing and angering and those things that will harm you and hinder you from fulfilling God's plan for you in this life. So I want to stress this again to you, my friend. Forget those things which are behind. Press forward. Don't look in the past, even if the past is a few minutes ago. Don't go looking back to that. I've seen people that everything's fine, and then they start talking about something that happened a couple days ago. And here's the thing. They're not trying to get a solution to some problem, which would be perfectly fine and understandable, that you'd bring up an issue that you want the person you're explaining it to help you solve. That's understandable. They are just complaining, and they don't want any solution to it. They just want to complain. And they'll call it venting, they'll call it whatever, but it is simply complaining, whining, murmuring, and it's attracting more of those things into their lives. And it's all based on things that aren't even real anymore. Those are events that happened in the past, and now their only existence is in your bringing them back up. Because they don't even exist anymore. except as electrical impulses in your brain. They're just memories, and they only can impact your life, only can cause more harm in your life when you choose to start bringing them back up. I wrote a book called Co-Creators with God. If you want to co-create with God, you have to get rid of the past. You have to forget the past and move forward. Because God's not thinking about your past. God's forgiven you. Why are you wallowing in it? God is giving you freely, liberally, of all good things, so you can enjoy and be blessed and happy and peaceful and glorify Him in your many, many blessings. Because the blessing of the Lord maketh rich, and He addeth no sorrow with it. You want to co-create with Him, you want to operate in union with Him, then you're going to have to get rid of the past. Stop thinking about it, stop meditating on it, stop fretting about it, stop being anxious about it, and move forward. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.